Justin, of everyone who has gone through this terrible natural disaster. Let's take you now to your weekend in view and show you in Iowa things actually are going to stay calm, which will be good for the recovery efforts there as we head really through the week. Much of the activity is going to be along the East Coast. That's where we will see those showers and storms. And the temperatures also, look at this, as we head into our Thursday in the south, dropping down into the low 80s, 82 degrees. We're going to be actually cooler in the south than we will in Chicago, where we'll be in the mid to upper 80s. Look at that, 10 degrees cooler in Atlanta than Chicago as we head into our Friday. Not too shabby. And then rolling into the weekend, not a lot changing. We still have our troughiness in the east and our ridge in the west, and that is going to last all the way as we head into our Sunday. And then really as we head into the weekend and next week is when you've got to be laser focused into what's happening in the tropics. So Jen and I and Tevin were just talking about gully washers.
Yeah.
And we love when you guys interact with us. And we've had conversations with a few people on Twitter now about exactly what a gully washer is. And Jen, you were super fascinated by this.
Yes, I can't believe that actually, we were wrong. I thought it was the side of the road and the water sort of washes out the gullies there. But no, it dates back to farming. And then, water comes in and actually makes gullies. That a situation where you have to have someone to come out and manage the land. You need to till it. Otherwise, it won't correct itself on its own.
Yeah,
fabulous,
or you get the,
right?
Yeah, it was
fascinating.
Because I said, well, where does that even come from, guys? And,
we were just like,
there we go.
We'll find out.
We all
Someone
have our
tweeted us and let us know.
Right?
Yeah.
It's great. Thank you guys for interacting.
Yes, so thank you for letting us know that. You could have some of these gully washers here in the south as we head through the afternoon hours because we get very heavy downpours. And all you need is that sun to click on and heat. And then there you go, 3 p.m. The cake is done, right? This is all about like the preheating of the oven. How many times, I don't know if you do this or it's just me, I'm so impatient or you forget to preheat and you stick the food in anyway and then it messes up the whole bake. Or in 15 minutes at 350, and I've stuck it in there like 170, and then I don't know.
Right.
Then I'm all
Then
messed
how long
up.
do you cook it? Yeah.
I don't know. That's my problem.
Right.
I've got to get on that preheating thing.
Steph, is it burned by the time you take it out?
It's the whole thing.
Disaster.
No, it's not actually. But here into the southeast, basically we're going to be heating up. We got that preheat going all day long, right? And then boom, we hit our 350 at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, if you know what I mean there. So here's a look since January 1st. Look how far we are above average. Anywhere from Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, South Carolina, Greenville, 21 inches above average. Now, if we just go from June 1st, we've actually been a bit below average in most of these places. So how does that even out when we look at our drought monitor, which comes out every Thursday, by the way? It's a little bit dry here, but could we have a tropical entity come and wipe this out as we head into a week from now or so? It's definitely a possibility. Jen's going to touch on that momentarily here. But this rain will definitely help. It just depends exactly where it falls. The same into Florida. It's going to stay stormy. We're going to see those showers. We're going to see those thunderstorms. This is not from a tropical storm. This is not from a tropical entity. But, Jen, that could change as we head over the next, let's say, 5 to 10 days.
Well, exactly.
Two different invests here. And the next new names are Laura and Marco. And, by the way, the earliest L storm on record, Luis, August 29th, 1995. I think we're going to beat that, but we might beat that with our second storm. I think this one will probably get named. This is just my guess. I'm not at the Hurricane Center, but that might get named before this one. So let's talk about that and why that is. First, we'll do a quick look on our first system here. Looks pretty ragged, though we did have some squally weather here into the Lesser Antilles. That development is going to go west over the next 5 days. Does it interact with the Yucatan? That could certainly, slow its development here. And then does it go into Mexico or does it threaten Texas? We've got to watch, okay? This is like as we head into next week. So even our system here, look at this. We have 2 bursts of energy. The Hurricane Center is going with that first area, but it does look like this second area will wrap into this, and we will get a system. Now, this actually has a better chance of developing, and we're going to watch this closely. Now, you might say, oh, it's so far out in the Atlantic, I don't have to watch it. Think about Hurricane Andrew. It actually formed about this time and then made landfall, of course, as a Cat 5 in South Florida towards the end of August. So you need to be paying. I'm not saying that this is going to do that and this is an Andrew. All I'm saying is you've got to watch for what's happening even this many miles away because our high pressure could be a tropical storm at this point. And then the question is, does it go into the Gulf of Mexico like some models have it? Does it do a squeeze play around the high? It's going to determine how strong this high is and other parts of the atmosphere. So that's system number 1. You see it's much weaker than system number 2. Even as we get into our Thursday here, then potentially a tropical storm here into the islands, while this might be interacting with the Yucatan. And then as we head into our Sunday, look, we have 2 systems that we could potentially have named here that we have got to be paying attention to. Tevin.
All right, South Full.
It's mid-August, and that means the tropics are alive. We are focusing in here on 2 systems, both Invest our next named storms, Laura and Marco. And they could pose threat to land as we head into next week. Good morning and welcome into AMHQ. Steph, Jen, and Tevin with you this morning. We're going to have a look at those tropical systems in just a minute. Plus, our Justin Michaels is live on the ground in Iowa covering the aftermath of last week's monster derecho, and we'll check in with him in about 8 minutes. But first, we want to start with another stormy summer, and I love this video out of the nation's capital. First of all, you get the double rainbows. Who doesn't love that, right? This is from yesterday. But notice the cloud movement, and then once you see the blue skies, you see the clouds moving from another direction, and you'll get even a third direction right there. Did you catch that right at the end? So this is why I always try to describe the atmosphere like a hamburger. It has several different layers. We live at the bottom bun. This is going up, you know, the tomato, the lettuce, and the onion layer, and getting up to the top bun maybe with that third little cloud movement there. So, Jen, this is why we love the weather, because it is so complex, but this is also why it can be very frustrating and tough.
Complicated. This is like the definition.
Play a little game. I need a little game show music. Okay,
yeah, that's
always
terrible.
nice.
Sorry.
Everyone's kind of bobbing their head. That was pretty terrible, but you get the point here. Let's time to play Find That Front. Tevin, thanks for that. Yeah. So can you find it on here? I know Tevin can. He already gave it away yesterday when I was playing this game, or the other day. Notice where you have the red versus the white. First of all, what is that? That is dry air in the mid to upper levels versus moist air. And our front is basically sitting right here, down at the surface. And again, layers, right? This is mid to upper levels. Ah, voila. Look at the front right there. This is down at the surface. So what I was just showing you was, say, around the tomato layer. This is the bottom bun. And we have to look at all these different layers in order to forecast what's going to happen, because the winds at the surface versus the winds, you know, at several thousand feet up, that makes a huge difference in what the forecast is going to look, depending on the speed and the direction of those winds. That's just one explanation. Then the moisture. Watch everything kind of fire up along and ahead of the front. It's a lifting mechanism. There's more humidity, more moisture. Yeah, you see some still, you know, behind the front, because this is not like a well-defined thing, but you're going to see a lot more as you head a little bit farther south. So that rain's going to come on in, but the question is, Jen, are we going to get more rain from a tropical entity as we head into next week? All right. Now, what does your eye go to when you were showing your? What does your eye go to when you look at this? Looks like we have 2 systems, right? Well, we don't actually have 2 systems, all right? This is what you need to focus your eye on. And you see it kind of getting like a bit of an S shape. It's trying here. This thing's trying to develop. It has actually a very good chance of developing. And we think that this energy will get caught up with that. But you can kind of see that S shape going on here. So the system's trying to get that spin going in the atmosphere. 90% chance of development. Better chance. We might have Laura farther west than Marco, by the way. So it could get a little confusing on the naming there if you're not paying close attention. Now, I say you really need to pay attention to what's going to happen, even though this is very far out and it still has several thousand miles to go. Because Andrew actually formed in this vicinity back in 1992 on August 16th. I'm not saying this is Andrew. I'm not saying it's going to hit Florida. I'm just saying you need to perk up and pay attention to what's happening this far out, because high pressure could be directing this towards the U.S. Now, it could be a tropical storm as it goes through the islands, but then does it go into the Gulf midweek next week? Does it go to Florida? Well, you know, the models show us. I'm going to take you all the way through Sunday here real quick and show you that this does take it closer to the U.S. And this is exactly why, Tevin, everyone needs to be very, very close to a television and the Weather Channel.
All right.
To get those stories out. We've been there since this derecho happened. Let's have a look at our weekend in view and the recovery efforts in Iowa. What's the weather looking like for the next week? Thankfully, things are staying quiet. Now, unfortunately, that means it's going to stay hot for a lot of people in the west. So where we have a big ridge in the west and all that heat, we have a dip in the east, and that's where we do have the threat for showers and storms. But notice the temperatures in the south. It's going to be cooler in Atlanta as we head into our Thursday, Friday, into our weekend than it will be in Chicago.
Though it's back on after that third one, Steph.
So let's talk about the stormy stretch that we're going to have here in the south. It's been pretty active and it's going to stay that way. But here's the thing. It's one of those, oh, you're going to have the sunshine and somebody else is going to be like, what do you mean you got sunshine? I got poured on. I mean, you know, Jen and I live on opposite sides of the town and she might come in and say, oh my gosh, I got, you know, half an inch of rain. And I'll be like, it was sunny at my house. Jen, what are you talking about? That's what it's going to be like here. I couldn't use Tevin as that example because we actually live quite close to each other.
Yeah. I can knock on your door if I wanted to.
Yeah, but he can't.
I can't. I can tell you. More than 6 feet, folks.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to worry about social distancing. No, just kidding. All right, showers and thunderstorms here into Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida as well. And you see they're a little more abundant just right along and south of where we have a little boundary for us here in the south. And everything clears up as we really lose some of that daytime heating for us. So where do we need the rain? Well, if you look at the data since the start of the year, we're well above average, 10, 20 inches above average. But if you use just June 1st, we could use the rain in a lot of places. So it's a little bit dry here. But the question is, are we going to see a tropical entity wipe out this drought in the southeast? It's possible as we head into next week. Before we get to that, Jen has those details. We got the rain and the storms here through Sunday. Not only in the southeast, but down into Florida. But Jen, everyone needs to really...
The Pacific, but Steph, we've got this conveyor belt of tropical waves out there, including in the Atlantic.
And I still think that if you live in the southeast especially, you need to be paying attention to what is happening, even though this stuff is still very far out, because August 16th is when Andrew actually developed in this region, and we know what happened with Andrew. Now, I'm not saying these are going to be Andrew. All I'm saying is pay attention to what's happening out here in the main development region and even into the Caribbean, as things can definitely take a turn quickly. So if we have our next named storm, it's going to be our L named storm, and Lewis is the earliest named L storm, August 29th, 1995. I think we're going to beat that yet again. This thing has been setting records this season, I should say. First, Invest 97L. We have Laura and Marco are our next named storms. This one looks pretty ragged right now, and it does have a chance of development. It's going to be pushed by a ridge to the north. That's going to take it west. But does it go into Texas? Does it take a turn north? Those possibilities are still out there, so we're going to watch that one very closely. Now we look at this system. Now, this is the main area that they're talking about, though this piece will probably wrap around. I mean, it looks like it's trying to get a little bit of an S shape, a little bit of a spin going to it. It's definitely working at it, and it has a good chance of development here. But again, it's going to be going around the bottom side of this ridge, could be a TS as it comes into the islands. But then, does it go into the Gulf? Do we get a squeeze play system? Does it go into the Carolinas? This is going to be as we head into the weekend and then next week. So here are our two systems. Watch will go Tuesday, Wednesday through the end of this week and into the weekend. And as we head into our Saturday and Sunday, that's when things are really close to the U.S. Again, notice both of our systems could